Well, this movie really puts the hair in Ed Harris. Spoiler alert for Creepshow. Here in my apartment, and I just got done watching for the very first time. I know. I'm really late to the party for Creepshow. The anthology from 1982, I believe, directed by George A. Romero. I thought it was alright, for a horror anthology. It's definitely not the worst I've seen, but definitely not the best. What I love about anthologies is if one doesn't work, there's always one that will, and that was kind of the case for this. We start off with the opening vignette that's not really a full segment, where we get Tom Atkins yelling at his son for reading a horror magazine, and then slapping the boy on the face. That was interesting. And man, Tom Atkins does not look the same without a mustache. He needs that mustache. Then we get our very first segment. I don't know the official title, but this is the Father's Day one. And I really like this one. I thought this was one of the better ones in this entire anthology. Especially the monster skull face looking guy that comes out of the grave. And I'll just say the lighting, whenever things get extreme within this anthology, how it turns immediately from normal lighting to like reds and stark contrast with blues and all of that, I thought was really well done. The costume I just mentioned, I would have to say is probably my favorite out of all of them in this entire anthology. Moving on to the farmer hillbilly guy that finds a meteor in his yard that has crashed down from space. He touches it, and then lo and behold, he starts to grow into grass. Like, he literally starts turning into grass, and his whole house and yard becomes filled with grass, and he's very tempted to take a shower, and the ghost from his father, I assume, is telling him not to, but he does it anyway, and then he kills himself with a shotgun. Kind of one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. I didn't really like this one. It was kind of just stupid, but it had a great ending with him blowing the shotgun to the face, I guess. Then we get the Leslie Nielsen and is that Ted Danza? Anyway, I don't even know exactly what's going on, but I thought the plot was somewhat interesting, kind of the mystery of what the hell's going on with the blackmail, and the what does this guy know, what dirt does he have on the guy. It's explained a little bit and kind of implied, but I thought it got pretty creepy, and man, the house that Leslie Nielsen's character is living in is miraculous. I would love to have a beach house like that. And then we get the zombies that were drowned alive of Ted Danza and his girlfriend or whatever. That was pretty cool. Kind of anticlimactic, where it's like supposed to be creepier than it really is, but what do you expect? It's 80s horror anyway, so it's gonna be a little cheesy, but I liked it. Then we get, I think it's just called The Crate. I don't know what else it would be called. This like English professor guy finds this old crate under the staircase at his college. He opens it up, turns out there's a werewolf guy inside, who then proceeds to kill the janitor. The professor escapes, goes and tells his colleague, who lures his ratty ass girlfriend in there because she's annoying as fuck and she deserves to die, I guess. Lures her in there after drugging the professor that just told him about it so that he wouldn't call the cops. Uses the werewolf in the crate to kill his girlfriend. He cleans up all the blood and chains the thing back in the box with locks. Dumps it in an old quarry so it drowns essentially, or they think it drowns. So then him and the professor that discovered it, they have a little pact where they're not going to talk about it. They think that the creature will never escape. Well, little do they know. And I love it when they have open-ended stuff like this. The creature might just escape. I loved this one. This was a really fun one. This was one of my favorites. I would say Leslie Nielsen's one and this one are my favorites out of the whole thing. Moving on to the final segment though, with the bug guy. This guy in an apartment, and he's obviously an asshole. He keeps getting calls about one of his employees that killed himself because of the workload that this guy was putting on him or something. But this guy's really OCD about having roaches. He has a roach problem in his apartment, and he doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. And sure enough, the roaches infest and take over his entire apartment before he's able to get help, and he deserves it. And we get some cool body horror of like roaches coming out of his body and consuming him, and that was pretty cool. Other than that, I didn't really need this segment. I didn't really like it very much, so yeah. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about the movie Creepshow? What's your favorite segment from this movie? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.